Walsh, and even people like Charlie Kirk until the day that he died, people like Steve Saylor, many of the Bronze Age pervert crowd, these people like Raw Egg Nationalist, Lomez, etc. They are really ramping up the nativist rhetoric to sort of compensate for the fact that they will never criticize Israel or the Jews. And let's think about this in terms of systems here. When we talk about whites and Muslims, whites and blacks, whites and Hispanics, we're talking about identity politics. We're talking about the politics of immutable, essential identities. What does it mean to be an American? What does it mean to be white? What does it mean to be an immigrant? This is the politics of identity. And it's the politics of these immutable, essential characteristics like race, religion, whether we're native or foreign born, what language we speak, all the things that come with being a white American versus a non-white foreigner. And if that's the way we're thinking about politics, and I think that's the way we all are thinking about politics, why then does that never extend to Jews for somebody like Matt Walsh? In other words, we can talk about Muslims bringing Sharia law, and we can all agree that as white Americans, that's undesirable. And we could talk about how Muslims are taking up too much space and too much power in certain cities. Do we want a city to be all Muslim? Do we want to live in a city with a Muslim mayor, health commissioner, police commissioner, the signs are in Arabic script? Of course not. That's the relation between white and Muslim people in America because of mass migration. But why then do the same people that are so eager and so vocal, so incendiary, these people that are the biggest culture warriors, the toughest talkers about Muslims or blacks or immigrants or illegals or Hispanics or Indians, why do those people never talk about Jews? Why do they never talk about the race relations between whites and Jews or everybody else? In other words, you're willing to say that the mayor of Dearborn is Muslim and the municipal government of Dearborn is too Muslim. But how come you never talk about how America's government is too Jewish? Why are you willing to talk about one but not the other? You talk about our black crime problem. You talk about the Muslim Dearborn problem. You talk about the Hispanic illegal immigrant problem. And by the way, those are all problems. That's all legitimate. But you never talk about the running media, academia, Hollywood, government, finance problem. Why not? You're willing to list all the Muslim-sounding names and their call to prayer in Dearborn? Why don't you say the same thing about all the in Surfside, Florida? Or how about all the Jews in Brooklyn, New York? Or how about all the Hasidic that have basically created colonies in New Jersey, all over New York, in LA, in South Florida? How about, forgive me, how about all the names in Hollywood, in the financial industry? How about the 5 out of 8 Ivy League universities that have presidents? How about the endless talk about the Holocaust and playing the shofar and hearing the Torah and the Talmud and all this? We never hear that from Matt Walsh. We never hear that from all these conservatives. Why not? And I'm just getting really sick and tired of conservatives that pretend to be, and what they're doing is compensating.
Well, Nick, if I had to answer you, it's simple. If you are wondering who controls you, look no further than the person you are not allowed to criticize. Let me say this. If you are wondering who controls you, then you should look no further than the person you are not allowed to criticize. Anyone you are not allowed to criticize controls you. It is but simple. Now, coming back to Matt Walsh, I remember a couple of years ago when this whole thing about what is a woman was raging on. He was the one championing it. In fact, he monetized this whole thing like a lot and made so much money from it. I saw clips of him or photos of him in Africa talking with African people, asking them if they can accept a woman as a man as a woman. You know, he was in Africa doing all that. And according to him, if there's one problem that will destroy Africa eventually, that those Africans shouldn't let it happen, it was the whole transgender agenda. That was very, very important. And everyone had to pay attention to it. He was in Africa. Matt was. He got into problems with YouTube because he couldn't let Declan Mulvaney be. He kept on attacking her, not physically, of course, through social media, calling her all kinds of names. So, Nick, I understand you when you ask questions like this. Remember, Matt Walsh works for the Daily Wire, and I'm sure the Daily Wire is funded or supported by some Israelis lobbying entities in America, allegedly. I'm sure about that. So, how can you expect Matt Walsh to question or even worried about what might be going on in Gaza? Why would he ask all this? After all, he cares only about America, isn't it? When it comes to Israel, he doesn't care what happened abroad. He cares only about what happened in America. But when it comes to cultural war, like the same-sex issue, then he cares about what happened all over the world. That's who they are. That's who they are. And listen, okay, I always say this that people must be careful with the so called social media influencers. You have to be careful with them. Some of them are just emotional manipulators. Some of them are just manipulating you. Some of them have found a weakness in you and they are using it to serve their own purposes. So you have to be very, very careful. You just need to be very, very careful. Matt Walsh will never ever criticize the IDF or the government of Benjamin Netanyahu. Never ever. Or even the state of Israel. He won't do that because criticizing the state of Israel will cost him a lot and he is not willing to lose anything. Meghan Kelly is also feeling the pinch when she started asking some questions and saying that people like Candy Owens and Tucker Carlson were kind of like on point, and she kind of agrees with what they said. Then they came for her. They told her, "We love you. We will hope we didn't have to say this, but you are giving us no choice. So we have to say what we have to say. You are going down a very dangerous path, and that might be very, very destructive for you." But anyway, tell us what you think about Nick in this video, Nick Fuentes, what he said. Do you agree? Do you think that when it comes to cultural war in America, all the so-called rights or social media influencers are happily to call out anyone and everyone. But when it comes to Israel, the IDF, and the mayor of America, Benjamin Netanyahu, as Nick puts it, then all of them kind of like shut up. What do you think? What is your take? Share that with us in the comments below, because like always, we enjoy hearing what you guys have to say, and we appreciate every single comment that you guys share on the platform. Thank you very, very much.